Hey, it's Chris. Welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today, we're sharing 5 ninja mind hacks to keep your mind in perfect shape. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations with Nick and Chris. Before we jump into today's topic, Nick, how are you this morning?
I'm doing very well. I've had a pretty good weekend, and I'm now a Viscount Caravan Club
All right.
owner. Old school is a good school.
Old school caravan. Yes, we both now own Viscount caravans.
Viscount Caravan.
Yeah. It's not an up coach trend yet, but you know, we've both got one each now. I've had mine for a couple of years. You're brand new to the club.
Now the fun begins.
Now the fun begins. Lots of weekends. And like I said, don't count the hours.
Exactly.
Because it gets out of control. Today, guys.
All you tradespeople here and that, don't count hours on anything that there's going to be a tinkering project.
That's right. Things that you love, don't count the time.
Exactly.
Today, we want to talk about the 5 ninja mind hacks to help you if you're experiencing any sort of up or down in your business right now. These are things that you can apply in your mind to keep your mind on top of the game, you know, in tip-top condition, in the right state of mind, or what Tony Robbins refers to as a beautiful state, making sure that your mind is in perfect health. And we've got some little tricks and hacks that you can use every day to make sure that you're on your game. So Nick, why don't you roll out with the first one? What have you got on the list?
I've kind of broken down like this. Let me tell you why. So on the weekend, I went and bought that plant. If anybody can see it, there's a beautiful indoor palm.
Nice.
And I was thinking about some stuff, and when we sort of spoke about the topic today about what can we present, and I thought humans are very much like plants, right? When you really think about it, they're living organisms. They just choose not to speak, but they still communicate with each other, just in a different way.
Yeah.
And when a plant's happy, it kind of looks cool, all of that stuff, versus when it's sad, or So, and I thought about it. I mean, where it comes to mindset, if the soil kind of represents the environment and all that type of stuff, how would you go about breaking it down? So I sort of write down these 5 areas.
Yep.
Number 1, I think, what's your environment? And what I mean by that is, if you put an indoor plant outdoors and it's really beating down, the sun's beating down, it's really windy, or it's torrential rain, or any of these things, it doesn't matter what it does, the environment's the wrong environment. So, for your headspace, if you have the wrong environment there that you're in, if you're stressing out, let's say, as we're recording this, it's COVID and all of these sort of type of, negative, Melbourne riots, and, the world is kind of in a bad place. And all of these things, if you let that get to you, the environment that you're in, it's like, you're the plant in the wrong environment. When I spoke to the lady about this, she said, it's really good if there's fresh air and sun comes in. And in my office, as you can see, the sun's kind of through, the shutters are open, keep the windows open all the time. So I like the air flowing through. So the environment's very important. So the first thing from a mindset hack, first of all, look around in your environment. Are you in the wrong environment? Are the relationships no good that you're in? That could be family, by the way. It could be wife, husband. It could be the kids. It could be anything that is the wrong environment. If I get ordinary people and put them in a war zone or a ghetto or something like that, you're about to be in the wrong environment. So it'll affect you, right? So environment is very, very important. Yeah?
Okay, so just feeding on that, I guess you have, and I look at things where people have control and don't have control. To a certain extent, you can control some of the environment that you're in. Would that sound right? I mean,
look, I think so too. I mean, no one's holding a gun to your head where it comes to, watching the media and watching TV or do all of that stuff. And where do we mostly get this stuff from? It's either going to be people that are kind of el negativo, right? Or you're going to get, friends, family, or you're going to get media. Usually that's all the negative stuff that you're going to see.
Yeah.
So, in the car, instead of listening to the news, well, maybe you could put a Tony Robbins CD on, or listen to a podcast or something like that. Instead of watching the TV, throw Netflix on and watch a documentary or learn something, or, check out YouTube. 1 billion videos or whatever it is. So there's opportunity there if you think about it, from that point of view. So I would definitely, I believe you can choose the environment.
Right.
So it's no excuse why you can't, have that as an example. Can't have the right environment.
Yeah.
And if you're in a shitty environment, well, guess what? You got a choice to get out of it.
Right. There we go. Because I was wanting to put that forward. There might be people driving along, listening to this and going, well, I'm in the position I'm in. I can't control that. Well, we're pushing back on that. So you can actually control factors of your environment. Your traveling one is perfect. Instead of reading the news or listening to it, you could actually listen to something that's more empowering or educating or something that's going to actually benefit you.
Exactly.
So you can control those parts of the environment. Very good. That's number one. What's the second one?
Number two, I thought about, the soil type. Oh. And here's what I mean with that. Your mind, you can either put, really bad sandy soil that doesn't have any nutrients or any of that type of stuff. So, with you, if as an example, you've kind of, I don't know, farmed the soil so much, you've been in such a pressurized environment that it's getting very difficult for you to be able to, think clearly or kind of, be out of that negative mindset space and all of that stuff because, you've put in way too much, I don't know, like chemical into it or, it's the wrong soil. It's very rugged and barren and, the quality of the soil is the quality of the plant. It's got good soil in it. That's why it's a healthy plant. So it's the same with your mind. With the soil that you've had in it went from, and think the soil's been there since you've been there. So, right. What does that look like? Has it just been under so much stress that you've never personally developed it, that you've never really given it the right ingredients of the soil? I know like last time when, I did a garden bed and, you go and buy that, I think it's called sea salt, right? It's this seaweed solution that has all of these nutrients in it. It's incredible. Like 3 weeks later, man, this stuff's green. It's starting to come out. It looks cool. You put it into the soil. And basically it's like re-fertilizing it almost in a really, really good way. So you've got to try to understand what are you dealing with, because it doesn't matter how good the plant is. If you put it in the wrong soil, it's only probably going to get sick or die or, be in a bad space. So with you, it's the same thing. Are you at the moment in an environment where, the soil's no good? And the way to recognize that, I believe, is, you're stressing out all the time, can't think clearly. Have you got brain fog? Are people kind of very short, or things tick you off that they never used to tick you off? Like what are got to try to figure out where is all of this coming from? Right. Because then the next kind of three are going to be, the keys that you can use. So basically, I'm trying to go, what environment you're in and what's the soil type? Right. Because those two then will be the foundation to then build off to the next,
So for the soil, is that relating to kind of, we'll call it the bed of your mind?
I think so. Yeah. It's like, right. What are you somebody that the glass is always half full?
Got it.
Has it been conditioned that way? Or is that, a baby when they're first born, the soil's perfect because it's empty, really. Like, it's ready to plant crops. Now, if you then put a baby in a bad environment in over 10 years, by the time they're 10, they're already criminals. Because the soil hasn't been cultivated. They've just planted the wrong stuff in there. They're in the wrong environment. They're put under pressure, parents fighting and, bad environments. It could be drug induced. It could be, alcoholism or any of these type of things. So, you can imagine the quality of the soil. The soil's just been, it's like, farming the same crop season by season by season and never letting it rejuvenate. Yeah. And this is what happens. Some people look old because they're being stressed out to like level 3 million.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that while you were talking and thinking, well, it's kind of like a business owner that's never, and I don't know what the next three are, but never really reinvested back into the soil. They've just like taken crop after crop after crop from that mindset bed, and they've never really thought about refertilizing or rejuvenating or putting any nutrient back.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. Like, we've spoken about this before. We come across clients like this. They've got brain mental fatigue and decision fatigue, and it's like they don't even recognize it. But for us, it's pretty easy to recognize.
Yep.
Every employee is a pain in the ass. Every job the owner's a prick. Every job site, the guys are hopeless. These are the words that you keep on hearing over and over again.
Yeah,
it's everybody's fault other than the guys. Everybody doesn't get it. Everyone's against me. Everyone's a dickhead. Everyone's this, and I'm like, dude, that just tells me that your soil, you've over utilized it. You know what I mean? You've just you haven't given it the rejuvenation and the fertilizer and stuff that it needs to come good again. That's very important. So,
good. I like that. So environment number one, building the right soil type number two.
Yeah. And the reason being, like I said, the next part is it doesn't matter how negative you are or whatever space that you're in. The reason why you go, mate, look, I watched a positive video, but 2 minutes later, you're back into the same kind of mind space you're in. It's because, well, there's no way it can be cultivated because the soil's out of energy. That's important. Yeah.
Right. Good.
Number three, I think what's important is you need to de-weed stuff. You need to de-weed your mind. And we talk about this, it's kind of a mimetic virus, like de-weeding your mind is really important because once again, you can plant some great vegetables or seeds or flowers or plants or trees or doesn't matter, but if it's surrounded by weeds, the weeds will overtake any of those plants because weeds are strong, they're agile. That's why they grow like in the crack of a concrete thing, on Mars. I don't know, like they're rugged, right, man? Like I just pulled out weeds in my driveway on Saturday, and man, even the whippersnipper with the plastic thing like this on it takes a while to cut this thing down, and I'm trying to yank it, and you forget it. I'm doing a disc in my back, and the thing's only this big. Like it's not, they're so strong, right? And it's in the slither of the concrete. It's amazing how strong a weed is, right? Why? Because it tries to survive in an arid environment. So if the soil's bad, the environment's bad, and you've got a lot of weeds in there, how do you recognize weeds? That, the glass is always half full. You don't feel like waking up in the morning. Everything kind of pisses you off too quickly. Right. People that you loved kind of you're not into. Like there's all of these sort of areas there. Or in business, you're stressing out at level 3,000 all the time. You don't look at anything that's awesome anymore. It's almost like waking up every day that businesses. Here you go, mate. If I could, get rid of this thing, I would. These are all very much weed environments, so you need to ensure that de-weed it, right? So
that's good.
And straight away, now how do you de-weed it? First of all, it's important to recognize it. Second of all, I believe the best de-weeder is kind of what I'm going to talk about next, which is number 4, which is really good seeds. So now in saying that, when you de-weed it, you need to prepare that environment. How do I de-weed it? Number 1, I recognize that I've actually got weeds there. Number 2, I need to make a decision to go, am I going to let that little voice in my head keep me in this place? And let's take, businesses at the moment, that are suffering with COVID. Shutdowns and lockdowns and all that type of thing. So whether you're a cafe, a restaurant, or a builder, or whatever it may be. If you really think about it, this opportunity in the length of business time that you've been in and or are going to be in, if you talk about it for 20 years and you've had 1 month off, 2 months off, 3 months off from operating and trading, right? Even though it's very real for you, when you really think about it, it's only a small amount of time. So what do you concentrate on? Do you concentrate on stuff that you've got no way that you can control that environment? Or do you concentrate on stuff that you can absolutely, make decisions on your own help you do what you need to do. And what I mean by that is a lot of people, keep on thinking that the weed is stronger than them. Where the truth of the matter is, the only reason that weed keeps growing in your mind is because you allow it to grow in your mind.
That's a very, very important point there. I think that's a huge one. It comes back to self-awareness to a certain extent, but like you're saying, the only reason why that weed is strong is because you've allowed it to become strong. Kind of like taking fertilizer out to the weed on the driveway and giving it some fertilizer every time you go past, right?
It's pretty much that exactly. That is exactly what it is. All you've done. How do you do this? Have you ever noticed when people get together in an environment, a lot of their central focus is to talk about something or someone, and 99.9% it's the negative stuff. I'm so coveted out with conversations that it's ridiculous. There's a default. Hey man, how's it going? The COVID, the thing, it's all of that stuff. And I'm like, all right, we've been talking about this for 18 months. Now what? What's next? And even the media's exhausted. And it's funny, like the media, the media is the perfect example. They keep on feeding weeds, which are the media, they're weeds, where, with the negativity, hype, sensationalism. And the more they feed it, the more it grows. And the more people are into it, the more they grow.
Yeah.
So now I'm choosing to go, hey, you know what? Like, let's talk about anything else other than COVID. Yeah, it's here. I'm over the lockdowns. Let's keep moving. I'm done with that conversation.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to go, am I going to keep on thinking about how bad the bank account is? Am I going to keep on thinking about, I can't work in COVID? But how about if you said, I've got 8 hours a day to shift what I need to do to start working on other stuff that I've been putting off for whatever, and now it's the time to do it. Can I get clear on how to organize accounts? Can I work with my coach on getting the head right and the heart right? Can I shift my focus into personal development, getting me right? Working on the office. Like, I just built my entire office for something to do just on weekends. And, we've been flat out, but it's one of those things. For me, I need my mind to be occupied. It's very, very important. So, you've got to understand now, between the weeding, once you've recognized that, here's now time to seed that.
Right. This is
so
step
number 4, seed. Step 4. Now, here's how I think about seeding. You could put bad seeds in there, or you could put good seeds in there, right? It's pretty simple, right? And how do you put bad seeds? Well, if you hang out, have you ever noticed, I've got grass out the front of my place, and I don't know what it was, but last year there was like the Bindi revolution or some shit like that. I don't know what. And man, like within 2 months, I just swear to God, it was 99% Bindis, right? And you're lucky they're not those real nasty ones, but they're nasty enough, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, how did this come? 1 minute it's cool, the next minute I'm telling, like within 2 or 3 months it was 3/4 Bindi. I'm cut. Even my people walk past, they're like, what are you doing, cutting it with Bindis? It's so much so that I need to get rid of the grass. Like, it's all over.
Right. See you later.
It wasn't amazing to start with, but I'm going to have to, because by the time you Bindi that, the lawn feed the Bindi, forget it. You need to start again. Right? Yeah, unfortunately, with your head, you can't start again. You can't replace your head, right? You can't replace your brain. So you got to figure it out, right? So now, and what I noticed with that is when the wind blows, it picks up the little things off the Bindis, takes them somewhere else, and then it starts Bindis because it stops on the grass, the rain happens, and it digs itself in, and then it's Bindis, right? So it can spread. How does that happen? If you hang out with a lot of people, all they're going to do is if you've tried to weed yourself, they just keep on putting negative seeds back in. Thieves hang out with thieves.
Yeah, right. It's going
usually
back to
idiots hang out with idiots.
That's right. So it usually goes back to what you've said before about the environment, really paying attention to
completely. So if you want to change it, you've got to start thinking like the seeds that you want to plant. With me, I used to be this person. I'm not sharing anything that's on this prima donna or whatever, but I work hard to develop myself mentally and meditate and think about stuff and hang out. And I mean, look how blessed we are as a team. We're all positive, focused, and you don't get that a lot in work environments. We get that with us because our whole game's around this. So it's pretty awesome to never have to argue with somebody or be in a position where they're talking against somebody. Like I was talking to somebody today about this. I said, my team, we never speak behind each other's backs
No.
negatively, and
Nope.
look at that guy, right? And you're an employee of mine, so you could probably go, mate. None of us coaches talk like this. So as far as I know, no one really talks negative against me. And everybody has a whinge, man. That's how it is. But we're not this. There's a lot of undercurrent in businesses that it's. I hate that guy. I love everyone in my team. It's like it's the best.
There's no negative virus, we see that in people's businesses sometimes where there's, this lady doesn't like that lady and this guy can't work with that team. And it's that virus that spreads throughout the internal fabric of an organization. That's what we don't have. It just doesn't exist.
It doesn't really exist, right? So, and why do we do that? Because we choose not to be in that environment. None of us do. So anyone listening to this, I think you've got to plant the right seeds. Now, what are the right seeds? It's be, do, have. If you want to, create an outcome for yourself, you need to start becoming that person, and you need to do the activities that person does. So if you really want to change the way you think, if you really want to deal with negativity quickly, it makes sense that you insert everything and all the tools, all the arsenal that you have. So when that negative thought comes up, hey, you're going to be ready to go with it. With the plant, you've got to seed the right things. Now, guess what? With seed, you need sunlight and you need water. They're the two things that it create to create life, right?
Yep.
With us, if you want to reseed good stuff, doesn't it make sense that you read, you watch, you listen to, you discuss, you become a part of? These are all your sun and water as a human, right? You can watch good videos, you can read really good books, and there's enough personal development stuff out there to be no problem,
Yeah.
And you can choose not to hang out with them el negativos. I've done that, even with family. I've cut them out of my life if they're negative. I don't want to do it. It's you've got a choice to make. You've got X amount of hours of breathing, so you can take your pick.
Yeah,
and then people go, no, well, you can't. My wife's really negative. Well, you can give her an ultimatum.
Maybe help her.
Or help her, exactly, the other way around. So there's choices here, and you can say, hey, don't come to me with stuff. I don't want to be, and it's like with kids. Have you ever noticed, when they're young, if they fall over, they look around, and if you go, oh my God, and you freak out, they start crying. If you start laughing and go, come on, get back up, they're like, oh, all right, cool. Even though it's hurting them, they keep doing it. Isn't it the same as you're an adult?
Yeah.
Some adults, the conversations like negativesville all the time. But if you go, hey, please, I don't entertain it. I'm sorry. And they might think weird against you. Oh, what are you special? No, I just don't want to listen to your shit.
Yeah, that's right. So the good seeds could be meditation courses, some great books, articles. Maybe you've got people that you might follow online. They could be courses. They could be
discussion with other business owners.
Discussion with other business owners. Could be even the Up Coach magazine.
Correct.
I'm going
having a coach. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking to a coach. Yeah, it could be speaking to a counselor if you've got one of those. These are all good seeds. What are you doing, I guess, to reinvest back into the mind? So this is part of, we're not taking stuff anymore. We're actually putting good seeds back in.
Yeah.
Good.
And finally, number 5 is sooner or later, you've got to change pots.
Right.
And here's what I mean. Like the guy says, it's a beautiful plant, right? And it's funny, I measured the height and it kind of came at the right height because I wanted it to fill that space, Sure. So when it's on camera, it kind of looks cool, right? It's beautiful, and there it is there, and
very lush.
And I bought another pot, and the guy goes, hey man, if you want it to grow bushier, just get a 42 mil pot or 40 mil diameter pot. So the one that I got isn't that, because I don't want it too bushy because I'm limited in space, but I like it to grow upwards. I like it is, right? Perfect height. And I said, oh, why? He goes, oh, because, as it grows, the roots get bigger and the stalks get more of them, because it's a bamboo or that type. It's a palm. Sorry, not a bamboo, it's a palm.
Palm.
Right?
Sure.
And it kind of made sense here. Sooner or later, you're going to need to change pots. You don't always hang with the same people all the time. You're not always in the same job forever. You don't always do the same stuff you do. You don't wear the same shirts you do. You don't have the same, maybe facial look you have,
Right.
all of these things. And what I mean by change pots, sometimes you've got to change all your seeding as well, because the seed that you wanted for that particular garden isn't for the new garden. The new garden, you can make bigger stuff. You can put trees in there now, lemon tree, orange tree, grapefruit, whatever it is. You've got to think about it like that. Are you the same person that you were 20 years ago? And the answer is probably no.
Got it.
Now you're somebody different. And if you need to take it to that next level where you're going to grow your business, sooner or later, you're going to grow. You can't stay in the same place doing the same stuff at the same
you're gonna
thing. You're going to have to change pots, right? That's how it is, right?
So it's like evolution, really. As you grow stronger and bigger, you're going to keep growing and changing pots on the way through.
Yeah, very good. But before with me, I always used to be, as an example, I've been in the personal development journey for a long time. But the way that I also look at it is to go, well, I don't necessarily need to learn a lot of tactical stuff on how to become a better coach. I'm learning how to become a better leader. I'm learning how to become more spiritual. I'm learning how to become a better father. I'm learning how to become a better man. And that isn't, to show me a formula on how to balance a checkbook. I've changed pots. I don't need to do that anymore. Not to say that I don't take that with me, because the plant's still got the DNA. It's still your DNA. You are who you are, right? You're not going to change your DNA, but you change the environment. And changing pots is changing the environment, isn't it? I've given up on trying to be friends with everyone, to be really honest. And I've given up on worrying about what everybody thinks of me. I need to know what I think of me. But 10 years ago, oh my God, if somebody didn't like something, oh my God, I know I have to be the matriarch of everything. I have to be, the lead. And now I'm like, you know what, man, I've got my own little bubble. And even in COVID, I'm like, it's awesome. I get to hang out with the kids and the missus. We walk twice a day. I've got all of these hobbies, just bought the caravan. I got boat, bikes and all of this stuff that I like doing. I'm going to do a reno in the back. And it's all, my environment is really cool. I love it. They go, you can't, if you're not vaccinated or whatever, you can't go to, cafes and restaurants. And funny, then they'll go, but over next 3 months later, you'll be able to. And I'm like, if that's the only thing that I can't go to, I'm cool with that, because it's not the external stuff that makes me happy. It's more the internal stuff that makes me happy now.
I think can you repeat that line again? Because I think that's the most powerful line today.
Yeah, because, a lot of people are too worried about the external stuff, and that's what makes them happy. But the truth of the matter, it's the internal stuff that makes you happy. Because, there's always someone's got a bigger boat. There's always somebody who's got a bigger house.
Right. That's
always somebody's got whatever, and you see this. You see everyone that's wearing label stuff, label. I'm like, all you are is a billboard for the company that sells this shit, and you've got to pay for it. Where the true billionaires and true, millionaires and all the ones with a real lot of money, they're hardly wearing a label.
That's true.
Because they don't care what they wear. It's not about that. They've no longer needed to prove themselves where it came to money or whatever, but you need to be spiritually involved for that as well, right? So this is a journey. That's how it works.
Guys, this has been a super awesome episode, I reckon. 5, we started Ninja Mind Hacks, but they're really 5 like plant-based ninja mind hacks.
It's for the vegans, and it's
for the vegans, the vegetarians, and anyone who's involved with horticulture. So if you're running a business, hopefully you've taken away some serious takeaways about how you can reinvest or rejuvenate your mind if you're going through some low periods. So Nick, can you just go through those 5 once again, please? That'd be really fantastic for me. If you can just shoot back through those 5, that'd be great.
Yeah. So number 1, what's the environment? Very, very important. Yeah. Number 2, what's the soil type? What do you got up here? What's been with you for a long time? Is the soil tired, or do you need to let it rest a bit? It's called meditation usually. Yeah. Number 3, it's is there a lot of weeds? Because if you try to plant stuff where there's a lot of weeds, the weeds going to overtake the plant 100%, right?
Yep.
Number 4 is you need to seed it with some really good stuff, because you could also seed it with bad stuff and just get more weeds. Right.
Put the good seeds in. Yep.
Yeah, and number 5, sometimes you've got to change the pot. It's time to grow. You're gonna get bigger. You can't be in the same pot all the time.
Change the pot. Very
Change
good.
the pot.
Guys, if you found this extremely helpful, please leave us a comment. Say this was great. Thank you so much. Share it with other people if you think this is amazing as well. If you've got any questions or want to ask us a question that you want us to break down on this podcast, reach out to us at askitupcoach.com.au. Thank you so much for your time again today, Nick.
No problem.
We'll see you all again, guys, next week. Bye now.
Bye now.